Mute.
Mute. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of Sowing Seeds, where today we're going to be discussing managing relationships and friendships in medicine. First, to introduce our panelists, first I'll start with Dr. Love Anani. He's a full-time emergency medicine physician in the North Crest Emergency Department in the Nashville, Tennessee area, where he serves as the medical director, chief of staff, and Robertson County EMS director. Dr. Anani, he attended medical school at Howard University College of Medicine, where he earned his MD. And for residency, Dr. Anani attended Central Michigan Emergency Medicine Program, where he was chief resident. He currently lives in Nashville, Tennessee, but is a native of Houston, Texas, where his family continues to reside. He enjoys sports, comics, and is an avid gamer. He is currently married to Dr. Uchenna Anani, who is currently a NICU attending at Vanderbilt University. They have twin boys who are rambunctious and spirited. And last but certainly not least, we have Dr. Cameron Lee Matthews, who is the Chief Health Officer of Impact Care, a public benefit corporation that helps organizations manage a technology enabled CHW workforce at scale. She formerly served as Chief Health Officer with City Block Health, a value based advanced primary care practice integrating services for Medicaid and duly eligible low income Medicare beneficiaries. Dr. Matthews is senior faculty with the Weitzman Institute and associate clinical professor and volunteer with the Department of Family and Community Medicine at University of California at San Francisco. She is an elected member of the National Academy of Medicine, where she chairs the Health Policy Fellowships and Leadership Programs Advisory Committee and is a member of the Standing Committee, on primary care. She co-founded and directs the Tour for Diversity in Medicine, an initiative seeking to bring pre-medical enrichment activities to underrepresented minority high school and undergraduate students across the country. She completed her bachelor degree at Duke University, her medical degree at Johns Hopkins University, and her law degree at the University of Chicago. Um, so first, thank you so much for our panelists for taking the time to speak with us today. To start us off, I want to ask, what did friendship look like for you before medicine, and how did that change once you entered training or practice?
Since you got introduced last, you want to go first, Dr. Matthews?
I mean, since my bio was like my entire life, yes.
I think that was only the last 2 years personally, but I mean, that's how much of a boss you are. But yes.
This is true. How did it differ? I don't think it really has differed that much for me because of my entry into medicine. I think it comes with the maturity just over time of what your friendships should naturally become, maybe the fine tuning of your own like real interests, meaning like how you want to spend your free time. So are you always with the party people, or are you with the book club? Like it changes over time. I have always sought out, I mean, in medical school, most purposefully, friendships outside of medicine. My balance always came from my friends who had no idea what my clinical day was. Love knows this about me. When we travel together for the tour, my number one rule is, especially if there's alcohol, but usually if we're just not on the job, we're not talking about work. Like, I just don't like to do that in my downtime because I talk about it all day, every day anyway. Some people really enjoy that though. That's how they end up, sorry, love, marrying a physician. I can never do that because you come home and talk about medicine again. Just like, so this is just me. It's just how I've always sought out my friendships. So like, even now, my closest girlfriend group, I'm the only physician there. I have great friends who are physicians, don't get me wrong, through SNMA and everything, and I love that. But like, we don't talk about medicine. And we found our friendship beyond just the connection of medicine. I think that's the biggest piece, and that's important to me. So I don't think it's changed. I think it's matured over time. I don't have, I consider a lot of people acquaintances. I don't, my close friends who I confide in and travel with and share our lives with. Um, those are really important to me. Love is definitely one of those. And we can connect on so much more than just what medicine is.
Yay. Because she gets a Christmas card every year. That's why she on the list.
Yeah, Christmas. When you get adult, you send Christmas cards.
It's a very adult thing. I want to agree with that. And I will tag on, I am unsure if this is due to medicine or age, but this is the example I will use. At least pre-medicine, because that's when I got older, I guess. A lot of my friendships happened to be who's around, right? Like you had to be around and you had to call me, message me, like you had to keep in contact, right? Like again, back in the day, because social media was much smaller, you didn't text or call someone within 2-3 weeks, then like you're dead to me, like how dare you. Nowadays, and again, maybe because it's medicine or it's because of age, it is merely kind of like Dr. Matthews hinted at, that like higher level connection.
Mhm.
So it's like I cannot talk to you for like verbally talk to you for 2 months, but I can call you and we got an hour, or I drop one joke in the chat and it's fired back up. Or, we haven't talked in a while, but I say like, hey, we're going to SNMA. What are we doing? And then all the things flood in. We're going to stay here. Let's go to this dinner this night, blah, blah, blah. Like that's the type of evolution friendship has for me now. It cannot be a requirement that I speak to you every week any longer, because that's just not going to happen. So yeah, unless you live in this house or the chat group is just extra, extra fire, you're probably not going to hear from me for 20 to 30 days. And when we do link up, I want it to feel like we never left. And those are the friends that remain now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I love what you said. It's not about proximity. I don't need to see you all the time. I don't need to be around you all the time, but it picks back up. And that is so different from like high school. Like you would just get offended when people like weren't in touch with you, or you didn't.
In college, if you walked past the black lunch dinner table and he was black, the next day it was like, why didn't you sit with us? Like, what were you doing over there? Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that beautiful opening. And that really does lead into my follow-up question. I want to ask, did your friendships with non-medical friends change over time? And if so, like how did you help to navigate those shifts?
We will round robin this. So yes, they changed. People know I'm the physician, so especially Nigerians, like it's a cultural thing to like call someone by their title if you can. So Dr. Love, like I get a lot of that, even though it's just them greeting me. So like that kind of changed a little bit. But for like the close ones, every now and then I've gotten that call of like, hey man, what is this? Or can you send in this prescription? I'm 99% sure I have that. I don't get that a lot, but for some people, I get that every now and then. And that's definitely been a lot different. People don't fake for the wallet grab every dinner now, kind of some people I'm with is no fake. It's, you got it. It's like, I do. But, you can at least fake and reach for the wallet. Let's go pay for the drink, something. So that's a little bit of a change. But those are the people, again, who are still remaining now that like, you were down with me in the mud. I want to buy you dinner. I want to buy you a drink. So don't really have too much of a big mind there. But most people who are the closest, it's the Dr. Love joke when I arrive. But after that, again, we're right back to like we used to be, playing the old school songs, the old school dances, asking, have you seen so-and-so lately? Oh yeah, I saw the IG post the other day. They doing this now. So that's what it should get back to.
Yeah. I think going back to like just kind of maturing of your relationships over time, like definitely adulting is when you realize you aren't your job, right? Like, and obviously these are much bigger than jobs for us. Most physicians think of it as their career, their calling, and that is all true. but I hope that you are cultivating way more about yourself than just medicine. And, it may be hard at this point while you're in school because, you have to basically envelop yourself in it to really understand it. But as you mature on, even past residency, and definitely now that I'm that many years outside of residency, it's like I am so much more than medicine. And my friends know that. So like it rarely comes up if they have a critical question. Like the most interesting one, y'all. Oh my goodness. Whole conversation about childhood vaccines with a group of my friends who I then learned none of them, not one of the three of them took the Hep B vaccine at birth and didn't bring it up to me. So the doctor started coming out. I was like, wait up, I'm the only physician in this conversation and y'all did not bring this up. Kids are like 7, 8 years old, y'all. Like never talk to me about it. And I just sat there offended. I was like, hey, you call me anytime you have a question about like I got offended because they just don't do that. They don't lean on me. And I appreciate that because our friendship wasn't based on it. But yeah, it's also it's a nice, I don't know, for family as well too.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to help people, to be able to direct people, to provide that literacy of the healthcare system. Like someone has an issue, they don't know what specialist to call and things like that. And I'm primary care, so that's like all we do, right? So like helping people navigate the system as opposed to the medical questions, I'm proud to do because I know it's confusing even to me at times.
Thank you. So my next question is, do you think that medicine attracts people who already struggle with work-life balance, or does the system create that challenge?
You can go first.
I think that you can learn the work-life balance. So I don't know that it's an over attraction of those who have it versus who don't, but you can learn to time manage. You can learn to prioritize and make decisions. You can learn to say no. Those are all things that I have needed to adapt over time. I think there are some of us I know are a little bit more OCD around time management and everything. And sure, that goes along with our type A personalities, yes, but I don't think it's an overtly unbalanced sort of attraction to our field. But I do think the people that are more successful, that have more work-life balance and everything, dedicate some real energy to figuring it out. It doesn't come naturally. You're not just going to one day be able to figure out, oh, I'm an attending so I can balance all of this because you know what? I don't have residency work hour restrictions, but I'm going to figure it out. Like, no, you have to be very purposeful. You have to plan your day. Just as much as getting back to the friendship question, you also have to plan which friends you're going to see because, again, you're not hanging out in some academic center where you just walk into people. You don't see your friends unless you make actual dinner plans nowadays, as you get older and you get more family focused and things like that. So the need to actually plan ahead and time manage becomes more critical just as you mature. And so therefore your relationships do that. And those who do that more successfully are being intentional about it.
That level of wisdom is probably why I'm going to say cultivate, because I find myself to be a very, type A person, which I think I am more so than most of my friends group. But even now, I did not know what work-life balance is because before med school, it was just life balance. Like the work part was 9 to 5, clock in, clock out. Like it never followed me home. It never did anything else. I never had to worry about it. I didn't have to study. There was no, continuous learning I had to do after I did that. And when I was in college, it's all life and the work part is on that campus, right? So when I left campus, I was gone. And when I was there, school was life. So it was like completely integrated. But once you become an adult or a physician or whatever your goal is, and you have a connection to another person, you have children, you have patient logs, you have metrics you have to meet, like that follow you constantly around the time, then you learn work-life balance. And then you kind of cultivate it as you go along. So I don't think it necessarily attracts someone who's better at it. But as Dr. Matthew says, to excel at it, you must cultivate it well.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, I think that was a very, very beautiful responses. So my next question is, what are the benefits and drawbacks of having close friends who are also physicians?
Ooh, see, I'm gonna go there because that's my group there. All right, benefits. When you need to exhale, you can fully exhale with no translator involved, right? I can come home and say, do you know this 75-year-old female that I had that arrived with ROSC had a 40% pneumothorax on the right, causing compression and decreased flow to the RV? And my wife will go, what? What did you do about that? Did you use a 26 French or 32 French? Did you use a needle decompression? She can immediately come back with that versus, oh, who, what, and what's ROSC? Her name was ROSC, or did Ross drive the ambulance? No, ROSC. Is that a K or a C? Right? Like those are the things I don't have to explain when I want to come and just nail it out, right? Like you can get all of that out. So at least the home metric that helps. I'll do three things. The second thing is, at least wife-wise, I'm not saying no spouse understands the burdens of a physician, but like another physician really understands it. So it's like, hey, I have call and it's 6 to 6. That might be 6:30. Yeah, it might be 6:15, but she's gonna be understanding of it. She knows it's gonna take up all my time. When I have to say, hey, I am home working, but I have to do this on the computer, she understands. So there is a little more leeway of like, oh yeah, I gotta do that too. So that's fine. And then for one of my group of friends, like we literally are planning our summer trip. Again, I think equality helps. And that's, I'm not sticking financial, but they always say birds of a feather flock together. If you want to go on a group trip and you want to do things in the trip family range of 3 to 4K per family per trip, it helps a lot when the people that you're going with can afford that. And that does not mean a physician. That can be a tech person, that can be a CEO, that can be a ton of other people. But it's not necessarily going to be, the local school teacher. Now that you can't be friends with them, but you just have to alter your trip a little bit more. So I don't think we have to do very many life alterations that we do day to day when we switch to that all physician group, because again, they're physicians too. So not much altering on how we have to live.
I've got several different groups of physician friends, some of them overlapping, coming from different stages of my career. There's like the primary care group, there's the group from the tour, there's the group that came with me through SNMA, so through training and everything. There's different, all of my different roles, like different jobs that I've had, people that I've stayed in touch with and everything. I think it's wonderful. I think I admit those are different relationships than my non-physician friends because, well, especially the workplace people, we may not have the same kind of connection and everything, but I still consider them to be friends. I don't know. I think they're enriching. I think I still don't talk about actual medicine with them. I can't even think about the last time I actually came and like wanted to bring up a patient. Like I don't know. I just don't do that. I've never done that. I don't know. I think that's just me. But what I do is probably talk about more like the politics of healthcare and things and health equity and medicine adjacent healthcare related sort of things. Those are wonderful conversations because the physician perspective in those conversations is very different. And those tend to be a lot of the circles that I'm in as well, too. I will tell you, I'm part of a new group, and it's something hopefully a lot of our students will get to eventually, and love you as well, too. But it's a new kind of networking organization only for physician executives. And we only have a couple hundred members at this point, but it's all CMOs and CEOs of like startups and digital tech and all this different stuff. And like we have a meeting in person and I have dinner with all groups of them and everything. And so now I know a bunch of like my colleagues at different companies that I end up working with on this same day. So that I wouldn't put in the friendship column. I mean, a lot of them are, but I put in like unbelievable networking sort of space, which, I want to emphasize should never stop. I think we talk about networking so you can get the job and do everything and everything, but so that you're successful in future jobs, you should always keep expanding your network. And so that's why I joined the organization and get to know all these new individuals, because I think those relationships are critical just to expand my own knowledge, expand partnership. Because I don't know how many times I've been at a boardroom table, a conference room table, and I'm like, oh yeah, we had dinner last week. Nobody else in the room knows it, but we already know each other. Like that happens all the time. And it helps business. So a lot of it is maybe not so much on the friendship side, but networking so that you still have like real relationships. Like I know these people. I'm not saying, they're getting the Christmas card, but some of them got added to the Christmas card list. I mean, some of them got added. But it's been wonderful to meet more and more individuals who are like-minded, who are physicians, so that I can expand, honestly, just my own circle and how I do business on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, thank you. Those are very valuable responses with a lot of insight to unpack. My next question is, like, how do you set boundaries between being a good friend and being a coworker, especially in high stress environments?
You want to go first?
No, you go first. I'm trying to think of something.
So for me, I work in the emergency department, high stress environment. I can definitely say that I have made the balance by putting rules in place that I break for no one. I started that early. So Facebook chat, Facebook with everyone, because nurses love to click on Facebook and say like we're friends, which we are. But I a long time ago made profile restrictions for people who I went to college with and people I met after college. And if I met you after college or at least after med school, you got added to that list. There's just a part of my life you just don't get access to. I'm sorry. And then there's other organizations that I don't do anything from that standpoint, right? So like you can be the Facebook friend because that's the general, here's my life, here's my updates, kids playing in the park, stuff like that. Usually don't cross over into the IG style of life because IG is more like fun, gallivanting, doing things like that. Because I do like to keep things professional in certain ways, especially in leadership roles. So there is an image that you just can't downplay. I know it probably shouldn't happen, but people will screenshot things in a second. People will call you names in a second. And when you're trying to enforce something and someone's like, but you just did this last weekend or something like that, or I heard you talking about this outside. Every conversation has to be in a balanced place. I had a conversation yesterday, 2 days ago, with an RT who was telling me, and this is an okay opinion to have. I want to stress that. Okay opinion to have in the beginning. I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl because I don't like the artist. Okay, that's an okay thing. And then I was like, engaging because I didn't want to be too prideful and I don't want to be like, well, you're anti da. I was like, oh, okay, why? Why don't you like him? I thought they were going to go with the usual, I don't like the way he dresses, or, I like all English artists, which makes sense. And the retort was, he worships the devil. And I said, okay, now I got to like shift the gear, stay leadership wise. I can't jump off the top rope with what kind of blah is that, right? I had to come with well, that's interesting. Tell me where you heard that from, right? You got to take those baby steps. And I put these rules in place all the time. Don't agitate at work. If you're going to talk politics, put it in the box. Everything is step by step. Go off the top rope, watch your comments, side hugs, front hugs for sad events, lost parent or crying or something like that. Most of the time, side hugs, how you doing? Curse words limited. My Pandora is set on, I have like a work account. No curse words, no N words. I don't need anyone accidentally rapping along with what I'm listening to. So stuff like that.
You have an amazing approach. I agree. I do limit my social media interaction. Like, yeah, Facebook, definitely not. I'm never on there that much anyway. IG, totally private. I don't accept people. But like my LinkedIn is my, public facing and things like that. So I don't mind that. Trying to think of other things. I'm probably a bit more relaxed in the work environment. Um, Mainly because I lead a lot of teams. Like I'm not in the emergency room, right? So I lead like administrative teams, a lot of non-physicians at that, and they're in their feelings a lot. And so I have to I, I hate to say it like that. And if anybody's listening, I don't mean it in a bad way, but physicians are just we're just different, right? So like, but from my teams who need a lot more like motivation, and they see like the relaxed cam because that makes them relaxed. And
Mm.
so like my leadership style is very different than when if I would be like in a clinic or whatever. But I'm also like even when I was like with my residents, like I curse and I'm listening to crazy music. I'm kind of the exact opposite of you, love. Like they see kind of the crazy side, and then I will still like turn it on, but no, you're gonna finish your notes, right? Like I'll go a little crazy. But for my non-physician teams, I'm a little bit more relaxed because usually my work environment is quite stressful.
Mm.
So I bring down the heat by not having that level of formality. And that's just the nature of the jobs that I've taken. Like my current one, I'm launching this huge program on Monday. I'm probably not going to sleep much until then, although I'm going to sleep right after this. And it's chaotic. So I am joking and trying to keep my team light so that we all recognize the pressure, but yet we're not going to give into it. And they can't see me providing that pressure because it's all going to crumble. And that has happened when I was at the VA. That's happened in multiple different roles where I'm in high pressure situations. And so to de-escalate, I'm the one bringing a little bit of the lightheartedness. I'll curse this. I'll open up a meeting like, fuck y'all, this is hard. Like, I'll just do that. I mean, and everybody just relaxes. Because if I say it, then, so I don't know. That's just more my style, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your in-depth responses for that. And it really helps to illustrate the variability depending on the environment and the workplace environment that
Very much so.
everyone practices in.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
So my next question following up with that is like, do you have any advice on maintaining friendships or relationships across different stages so as someone progresses from a student to a resident and then to an attending?
Mm. I think I realize that you're not going to hold on to everyone. I think there's the reality that some people will become acquaintances, and that's okay. That you're not going to necessarily have time for everyone that's in your social group now, and that friendships serve a purpose and they can be time limited. And I think that's across the board. I don't think that applies to just medicine. So just starting to really recognizing yourself, where is their bi-directional benefit, honestly, because friendships should be benefits. They should not be draining whatsoever, right? I've unfortunately and not like ended it like, oh, I'm not talking to you, but I've pulled away from friendships because I'm like, I don't see us getting a lot out of this. We don't have a lot in common, like, and now we're just acquaintances. And if we see each other, it's hey, but it's not like, oh girl, I missed you. Like, no, we're good. And I think just being open about what you need out of friendship and also what you're giving into that friendship so that you can really make decisions about which ones will sustain and which ones you just appreciate and let fall. And that's natural. That is going to happen.
I think that's excellent advice because if you're not focused on what you're doing in the now, then you're going to miss out on things that probably would have benefited you more, right? So kind of like taking that example, most people listen to this are in med schools. That means you just went through college, which means you kind of went through high school, right? In high school, I had a lot of friends in high school. Now, fast forward, I think from high school on a regular-ish basis, like people I met in high school, not like family friends before that, 2 people I think I talked to like semi-regularly, right? That's 2. And I can tell you in high school, if you open up the yearbook, yep, we were cool, you were cool, you can flip the pages, all the signatures are in it. 2. You go to college, there's a little bit more, and there's more I keep in contact with because college was the development of Facebook, right? And when you go to college reunions, which are more frequent than high school reunions, you kind of like restir that pot and pick a few up. But when I got to med school, again, the college friends who were close and stuck, they stuck. But I didn't focus on trying to keep up the ones who were, we were drifting away. Because if I did that, I wouldn't have had time for the med school friends who are now I'm stuck with. So you do have to know when to let that friendship become acquaintance status. Because if you try to keep everyone on friendship status, then you're not getting everything you could get out of those level of friends, right? Like, there's only 24 hours in a day. So if I'm going to dinner with my med school friends, I can't really go dinner with my college friends. And some days I go dinner with my college friends and my med school friends. If I was focused on all the college folk to keep up with them, I'm missing out on med school friends who are like, probably the rock or close people to me right now, because that's the most recent stage in my life. So you got to be okay with people going and keeping in touch. And this generation that's here now, you guys can have infinite number of, again, chat groups and places to keep in contact with. And that really, really helps to kind of keep those acquaintances, embering or staying at a simmering level, but don't try to keep everyone, flaming hot, because it's not going to be worth it.
And I love the thought of leaving space. Like if you stayed in touch with all your college friends, you wouldn't have space for your med school friends. Also think to yourself, there are plenty of people that you have yet to meet until after medical school. So like, you don't need to keep the same friend group your whole life. And there's going to be amazing people at later points in your career that you're going to be spending time with. You're going to connect as families. You're going to connect over different similarities that you never anticipated at this point. So yeah, leaving space. And I think that only occurs when you really assess, is this someone that maybe even like a romantic relationship? Is this someone I see myself growing old with? Like my besties now, we're going to be on a porch, rocking back and forth in our 90s. And that is just how I know it's going to be. But I don't, I definitely acknowledge that's not all the friends that I've ever met over time. And it is good, most particularly as stress does increase in your career, to definitively step away from those people who are draining from you. So there's a difference between the people who, just become acquaintances, you're just not close, but the people who are taking too much of your energy, the people who are not providing benefit, the people that are causing stress, maybe only calling you when they need something or a loan or information. Like, where are they in other parts of your life? Are they there for you in your times of need, just as much as you should be for them? So it's about questioning, where is that drain? Are you a drain on somebody's life? And so maybe you should pull away because you're taking a little too much, and you need to be honest there as well too. So for your own kind of self-care and balance. But it all comes with time, and you'll make mistakes. You'll cut somebody off and realize it was the wrong thing. And if it's meant to be like a relationship, it'll flower again, and you guys will come back together and everything. But this is human relationships do wax and wane. And that's okay. That's natural.
Yeah, thank you. That was very valuable insight. And I definitely love the thought of certain time might investing too much time in older relationships might prevent you from forming new ones as you progress in your career. So I guess another question to follow up with that conversation is, how do you protect your energy and still show up as a good friend within these relationships?
I'll jump in there. Love said it. You do not have to put the pressure on yourself that you're calling them every week, that you're seeing them every time you're in the same town. I mean, that's the other thing. There's plenty of times I'm traveling and everything, and I'm like, oh, I'm back in Philly. I got all these people. I don't put the pressure on myself. I got to say hi to every single one. I got to see every single one. I got to acknowledge every single one. I'm like, yo, I'm in town for a day. See you next time. Like, I sometimes don't even tell them that. I'd be like, yo, I was there last weekend. My bad. It's, I think it's about recognizing, yes, that it doesn't need to have the same intensity that you might have had in relationships when you were younger. And yeah, if somebody takes it personally, then they're not balancing things the same way you are. They're not at the same stage of either the friendship of their own life decisions or life needs as you are. And so maybe that's where the pull, the rub might actually cause you to be able to help you make a decision, honestly. But yeah, I mean, Love and I, when we talk, like, do we really talk maybe once or twice a year? Like,
yeah. I don't. I'd be lying if I said we had an hour phone
no,
conversation
not even.
like in the
But
last couple of
I
months.
know that if I don't even know where you live, you're in Tennessee, but it's Nashville, is it Memphis? I never
It's
know.
Nashville.
But I know if I'm in Nashville and I gave him enough lead time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and Jenna can join or not,
Yeah.
we're going to get some good food and drink some good bourbon, and we'll see each other at SNMA every year. And it's like time hasn't, or it actually it has. Time has passed. It's not that time hasn't passed. Time has passed, and that's okay.
Yeah. I realized probably, I'm not gonna like act like I'm this big grown person. Probably 3 to 5 years ago, I was like, I am going to stop geo checking folk. How dare you come through my city and not holler at me when I see it on IG? Look, you ain't have time. I don't have time. We don't always have time. Like you said, it's a 2-3 day trip, especially when you go to your home city. Anyone watching this, you're likely, because the way the world works, not gonna work in the city you grew up with and grew up in. You're going to visit that city. You're going to have all them friends and family. You're going to have 48 hours sometimes. If you think about it, 48 hours. If you're one of those wake up in the morning, 6 a.m. and eat 3 meals a day people, you're going to have 6 meals or 6 times to eat with different folk, right? So that is at max 6 friend groups or 6 friends if you're doing individual you can meet with. You can probably, right? You could probably name 6 of your hometown people to begin with. And so I don't eat breakfast. So basically I'm meeting you for lunch or dinner, or we going out. That's basically it. So I got 4 times I can meet with people. And one of the 4 times, wifey gonna be like, we in Houston, take me out. So now I got 3 times. So you know what I'm saying? Like I can't keep up with that. So if you are weighing down on me by geo checking me, you're probably gonna slide to acquaintance faster than you think. Or if you can uplift me, hey, you in town for 48 hours? What you doing? Man, I got this dinner, this lunch. Okay, cool. When you get home from this, I'll meet you at your Airbnb. I'll meet you at your hotel. I'm coming to you. Those are the people that's like, you know what? I appreciate you. I'm bringing Uncle Nears to you, or I got the first drink on me at the hotel bar. Then it's like, you've now lifted the weight off my shoulder of planning this and planning that. You're going to work with me. Those are the friends who linger. That's protecting my peace. Like, I know you're going to be that friend who's going to help me get through something and want to see me for me, not for, again, showing up on the stories for the geotag or something like that.
And I'll even leave myself notes like, oh, I haven't seen such and such in a while.
Yeah.
Next time oops, hold on.
Okay. That's usually what I go with too. Like she said, like it's like last person I saw is the first one up. To kind of get that metric done. Other people know, but that's pretty well done.
My dog falling down the stairs. It's crazy dog. He's in diapers now, so anyway, keep going. I was gonna say I just leave myself notes. Next time I'm in Philly, call such and such. You haven't seen such and such in a couple of trips. Doesn't need to be every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're human at the end of the day, and there's only so limited time in each day. So and you also have to take time to be able to sleep and just unwind too. So I guess following up with that, like how do you communicate your limitations without feeling any guilt or burnout?
I say it. You've got to be direct, because if you're not direct, people are going to take it wrong, or they're going to misconstrue it, or they're going to do something you really didn't want them to do, again, because of misconstruction. So, and people who are your friends, who you want to keep in this friend category, you have to be able to tell them straight up, hey, right now, so I'm going on a birthday trip coming up. I messaged the people that I'm going with, hey, I'm available now to answer all your questions. If you want to double check the Airbnb and everything else like that, I will be at work the 14th, 15th, and 16th, or 14, 15, 13, 14, 15, and I have to drive the kids around the 16th. Don't ask me no questions then. And if you do, don't be mad when you're left on red, right? So they know that up front. And I was very honest, explicit, verbatim, these are the dates I'm available. Y'all should know. And that's what I need, because if something gets, well, you said I can reach out to you anytime. The day before the trip, sir, I'm busy too. I'm going to the same place you're going. Oh, well, I just had to, no, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. The planning ahead is a necessity in that example. I love that. I think the other thing is, if you can't tell your friends you're burnt out, then maybe you need to question your friendship, to be honest. If you can't tell your friend, you know what, I just can't answer this question right now. I can't help you right now. It's too much for me right now. If you can't tell that to your friend, then you need to really assess what the dynamic is between the two of you, and so I think so much of what we've described also is dependent on real friendships, not just a colleague that sits in your class, not someone that you're going to be embarrassed about because you're admitting a certain emotion, or that you wouldn't feel comfortable apologizing to if you snapped on them. Because of course I've snapped on my friends at times. I've been tired. I say something, and first thing I do is go back and say, I'm so sorry. That was ridiculous. If you can't say sorry to someone that you wronged in some way, then you need to question your dynamic, right? So part of the I think the assumption of that question is also that, perhaps the friendship itself isn't necessarily where you need it to be if you can't express how you're feeling, that you're burned out, that you're frustrated, that you need help on top of that, because a real friend you can turn to in that time. So yeah, I try to be there for every single person who asks something of me, because I know that they would do the same if I were to ask for something.
Yeah, thank you. That was very, very valuable points there. So I guess one of my last questions is, what advice would you give to trainees or early career physicians that are struggling with loneliness, especially given that a good amount of people, when they enter new stages of their career, are practicing in a different city from one that a lot of their support system or friends from previous stages are located in?
I would say when it comes to that, a couple of things, and they're going to sound corny, they're going to sound generic, but I personally feel they help. Okay. Number one, plan things in advance, and you'll be surprised how that continues to keep conversation along and gives you something to look out to. So this is not for like acute loneliness, but maybe like a chronic. So again, for everyone in SMA, everyone watching this is probably planning, how am I getting to Pittsburgh? Who am I staying with in Pittsburgh for AMEC? What are we going to do there? That's an easy way to revitalize the chat and to get some kind of excitement kind of put into you. And it's far away enough that you can enjoy the process of getting there, right? So setting up outfits and hotels we're going to stay at, and where are we going in Pittsburgh? What are we going to do? Some people, you can feel it already, like in the old chats from AMEC last year, they're like, has the AMEC 2026 chat been started yet? And it's like, no, but that's that level of excitement you can kind of like use to bring out of you. Number two, I'm going to say, go ahead and use that technology for good, not for evil. It surprised me, but I think it's a function, at least on Disney Plus, I can say. I think Netflix has it too. You can have theater watch or whatever it's called, where you call someone up like, hey, you want to watch this? You want to watch His and Hers together? I heard the show's dope. All right, cool. We're going to link it so it's synced up at the same time, so we can be on the phone watching it minute for minute, and it's like you're sitting there, right? I'm not of this generation, but I think my sister is. Some people can walk around with FaceTime all day long, no matter what they're doing. I don't know if you look at the ceiling, but use that, right? Like if you're feeling lonely, that there has to be one person who's waiting for you to reach out. FaceTime, if you're like me, yes, I have an Android. WhatsApp has the video function. You set it up. Like, I want to see your face. I want to talk. I want to do something like that. And again, I just need you in the background. I need you to be with me while I make dinner. Tell me about your day. Those are two things I think that I use the most, and I'm feeling kind of like backed up. I have my gamer friend group. Work gets really hard. I have that gaming session set up. I'm like, hey, y'all, I'm going to be on 9:30 to 1 a.m. Game don't matter. Just let's get together and chop it up. And it's not about the video game we're going to play. It's about the unload that happens in the background.
I love it. I would equate that same scenario to what happened when you first got to a college campus, right? What did you have to do? You have to figure out where you're going to start to, make your networks. What organizations are you going to join? Where are you going to connect? Do you have a faith community? Are you in the arts? Are there, music places where you can either jam or listen to music? Figure out your interests and then start to make connections there and introduce yourself, have conversations with people. I think it's the same exact thing. You move into a new town, a new campus, whether you're a resident or an undergrad or the like, the in order to address, or prevent loneliness is you have to get outside of just your own apartment and just your own day to day and introduce yourself to people, and it may be over video games. It may be, again, over prayer. It may be with music. It may be at the dog park, taking your crazy elderly puppy and saying hi to somebody like, can we have a dog play date? Like, I mean, it's the same exact thing as you did in college where you just have to get out there and meet some people. That is difficult, I would say, for this generation because we are so used to meeting people through social media and digitally. And it is also hard when you're coming out of school because school is a natural way to find those networks. It is difficult. I have had friends who moved. I have a very good friend who moved from Chicago. Chicago is my favorite place I live. It's all I talk about and everything. And she was just like, where she lived in Chicago, even though like she's still part of my close girlfriend group. She was like, oh, I just couldn't meet anybody up there. And I was like, in this one neighborhood. And I was just like, all these other neighborhoods here, you could be like, what were you doing and everything? And it was just because of the way she lived and worked and everything. She just didn't find her group. So I think if it's about the community you're living in, about where you're working, where can you find your networks? What are your interests? First of all, know yourself first. That has been common throughout this whole conversation. Know yourself first, know what you're interested in, how you want to spend your free time, and then go find others that do the same.
Yeah, thank you. Very great discussion. So I guess like my last question, just to kind of open up to both of you, if you had like any overarching or any pieces of advice or any insight to share about things you've learned about managing relationships or friendships during the training or practice, just open it up.
So we can just freestyle at this point. I will say that one thing that last time, or one of the times I joined this talk, that's a little different than this time, so I'll touch on it. Relationship wise, not just like friendships. I think friendship is pretty organic, it's work, but a little less work.
You still have to work at it. Exactly.
Yeah, you still work at it. You still have to work at it, but it's a little less work than a relationship that you're trying to have. And right now, everyone's, fearful. And again, different age, different time. I think, I don't know the stat, but the stat's a lot of people actually meet online more now than they did way back in the day. I don't think online relationships have outpaced natural meeting in real life quite yet, but man, is it close. So people get very nervous about, I'm a physician or I'm in med school, I'm in this and that. You don't want to get taken advantage of and things like that. I do remind people though that like even when you meet in real life, I think once you pass the age of 28, you meet someone for the first time. Easily in the first 5 questions is going to be, what do you do? If you don't know already. So you really can't hide your job for very long, no matter how you're going to meet someone. So I'm not saying you have to put it on the blast on your profile, but don't be surprised that it has to come up sooner rather than later. Go out, be yourself, be open. And I think Dr. Matthews really hit it on your head. Know yourself, know your worth. What are you looking for? I don't like outside that much. You're not going to catch me in the mountain climbing group or anything like that. I'll go once or twice if we're someplace lovely and this view is a must see. You might get one good hike out of me, but I'm not doing it religiously. So I'm not going to join a friend group or, get in a relationship with someone who needs to do that. I prefer a balanced type of group, or relationship personally. So like my wife is a non-gamer. So that's a thing where like it's balance. I do this, you don't do that. That's okay. The health is where healthcare is where we kind of link up in the middle. Movies, we really enjoy going to movies. So things like that. Hopefully, when you start to grow those things out as you continue to go through your journey through medicine, that becomes a little more natural and you can find that relationship in the long run. And again, similar to friendships, time management is very, very important if you want to make someone special. So my last piece of advice is get you a blank calendar. For me, it's a Google Calendar. For you, it can be an Apple Calendar, a cozy calendar, whatever. Make sure you have your commitments, the things you want to put yourself into, locked in and blocked off so nothing else can impose on it. So get you that calendar. It's time.
Complete agreement. Planning ahead so that you can have the time to invest in your friendships just as much as you're supposed to invest into your relationships. It may not be as frequently, but you do need to invest in your friendships. So, maybe sounds a little opposite from what we were saying before, that we could just talk a couple times a year and it's fine. But when you are spending time together, you're invested there. And when you need that connection, you've planned ahead enough so that, like I get my fill of love like a couple times a year. That's good. Right. I think I'll just reiterate what I think has been our direction for most of this conversation. It's just being intentional about who your friends are, how you spend your time, and how much of that time you want to spend is so critical. Because I don't want to poo-poo it. It's not just the work-life balance. It's all life. Just the balance of life gets more and more difficult. And I hate to say this, and hopefully, actually, I know some of you might be experiencing this now, but it does unfortunately get a little more difficult when you're not only balancing your life, but maybe your parents and their needs, and maybe your children and their needs. And it will become even more difficult as you prioritize rightfully your family. It will become both more difficult and more necessary to have friends so that you can step away and have that space from, just a self-care standpoint. And so therefore, the intentional piece of who those friends are that will be there for you, the friends that showed up at my mother's funeral, I mean, that just to me meant the absolute world. And, they flew in and I hadn't seen them. And all I had to do was tell one person and they took care of it. They told the other people and they were there. That is, that's love. And I think that's what makes humanity, that's what makes the human experience so wonderful. And we all need that around us. And so being intentional in how you fuel that, in addition to continuing to fuel your career and your personal, romantic relationship and your family relationship and everything, how you divide that time takes some energy and some planning, but being intentional about it is necessary.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Nani and Dr. Matthews, for really providing your valuable insight and really sharing your experiences to really help illustrate various steps that we can all take in this important topic in medicine. And I'm sure I know myself and a lot of our viewers were able to take away at least one point that they can implement moving forward. So with that being said, I want to thank the panelists once again for taking the time to speak with us today. Very much appreciated. And I also want to thank our viewers as well for tuning in on this installment of Sowing Seeds. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening and is able to stay warm during this winter.
Yeah. So necessary.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right,
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Love. Have a great trip.
I shall. You get some sleep and family dinner. AMEC. Whenever you put it out there, I'll be there.
Always, every year.
All right. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.